I'm going to introduce you to a chiropractor who has relocated from the States, set up her practice about 10 years ago, is doing very well actually in Ghana. But she's faced some challenges that are somewhat discouraging, somewhat typical to that of a woman coming to Ghana to set up business on her own, and she's decided to relocate to Rwanda. Her story is very interesting and very telling. Let's go check her out. Properly tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and so forth.
All right. So my given name is Dr. Grisel Industrioso. I like to say it in Spanish because I'm of Dominican heritage, so it's Doctora Grisel Industrioso. So I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I am here in Ghana now for 10 years, running this beautiful practice called Dimensions of Chiropractic Wellness, where we're focused on bringing life to every single person that walks through our doors.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you say you were born in Brooklyn.
Yes.
First of all, what even took you to the practice that you are now into? What brought you into that? Because myself, we did not even know about this field.
Mm-hmm.
It was only as an adult that I became familiar with it when I had an accident in the States.
Okay.
And it wasn't a real thing. It was a way to get some insurance. So I didn't really take it seriously. It was only until I came here. Okay.
I used to suffer from asthma, and so I was treated through chiropractic, and I'm now maybe 18 years now without asthma, except for COVID. When COVID hit and I caught COVID, the asthma came up again. Thankfully, there's other doctors here. Dr. Dean worked on me.
Okay.
I have another doctor that regularly comes in to see me. His name is Dr. Charles, and he's in Hull. He has an office called Vitalis, and he's also down the road as well by the underbridge.
Okay.
So, and then there's Dr. Allison Parker, who comes in from America. She comes in every so often to treat me.
Okay.
So I never go without chiropractic.
Right.
I gotta practice what I preach, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. So you said you were in the health industry for some time, and then you got into chiropractic. You were working, I believe, under another doctor there in the States?
I was working, the first job I had was in Florida.
Okay.
And I was working for a very famous doctor. I don't know if I can plug in his name, but he owned 80 offices in the US at the time, and he recruited me to run his main office.
Okay.
And so I studied under him
Okay.
for a year in terms of how to run a practice.
Okay.
So a high volume practice. Although I've never operated an office on my own or ran an office for myself as a high volume, because I like more of the personal touch.
Okay. So with that exposure, then you were able to learn the systems of running a chiropractic.
Yes.
Okay. And from there, what did you do?
So I worked for him for a year, and then I set off on my own.
Okay.
And I opened a practice of my own in Missouri.
Okay.
And I taught part-time at Missouri College, teaching anatomy and physiology, and I did that for about 4+ years.
Okay.
And then I decided to travel around and do chiropractic. So I went to several places. Mexico was one of my favorite. And I was there a month before I came to Ghana, and and I've been here ever since. So it's been 10 years now.
Wow. So what made you come to Ghana? I mean, you were traveling, but as opposed to Mexico, why did you choose to settle in Ghana?
Well, at the time, I had a boyfriend.
Okay.
And there's always a man that makes you mad. So I had a boyfriend who was working for IBM at the time, and he lived in Ghana. He is of Liberian descent.
Okay.
So he was living here for some time, and when we were trying to decide where I was going to go, there was a job offer for him to work here in Ghana, and IBM headquarters out here. I think there's some sort of headquarters. Anyway, so IBM out here. And so we decided, well, let's go to where I have a work opportunity because there was another doctor in the area that was employing a chiropractor, and then he also had a business opportunity. So we decided to come down together.
Okay. So that other doctor, I would assume, is Dr. Marcus Mann?
Yes.
Okay, 'cause that's where I met you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I worked for him for 1 year.
All right.
And then set off and returned back to the States.
Went back to the States
Mhm.
after that. Okay. So what was it about that experience that kind of ingratiated you to Ghana?
Well, when I returned back to the States, the calls were nonstop. My patients here calling and sending messages, and I had 2 patients that actually traveled back out to the States to come and see me. So I realized that I was in high demand.
Right.
So I decided, well, let me come back and see what I can do.
Okay.
And at the time, there was one couple, a Ghanaian couple, who wanted to open an office. And so they sent for me and brought me back down to Ghana to open the office. And I would be working for them.
Okay.
But they was licensed within about a year and change. So for the first year, I was living off of my savings. But once I was able to acquire my doctor's license, then from that moment on, I started doing home visits. So I was pretty much working out of my car.
Okay.
I had a portable table, and I would go business to business, and even the gyms, Aviation Social Center, thank you so much. Because I would set up my table there, and I would adjust the people working out, and I made my connections that way. And then also, I worked for Dr. Mans prior to that.
Right.
So just moving around, taking care of old patients as well.
Okay.
So for the first, I came here in 2013. I started the process of in 2000, beginning of 2014, and I opened my business 2016.
Okay.
So during that time, I was pretty much working on paperwork.
So it's 2016 now, and you are in business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Did it feel like it was worth the struggle?
Are you saying in hindsight?
No, not actually in hindsight. At the time, as you opened your door.
Oh
was
yes,
the perception
yes,
of the degree.
absolutely. I felt like I was on top of the world. The fact that I was able to accomplish that,
Right.
and I felt like if I was able to get through that ordeal, then everything else from that moment on would be smooth running.
Okay.
And that was by far the hardest.
Okay.
The hardest, just getting my foot in through the door.
Okay. How about your customers? Once you had your established place of business, did they flock in?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes.
So did you have to do much advertising, or was it
No.
word of mouth?
I've never really advertised.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's always been word of mouth. I truly believe that if you give good services, people will come back.
Exactly.
And I put my heart into my practice and into my patients, into their health. So I think they can tell that I'm genuine in getting them better.
Right.
So I've never had a problem with marketing at all.
Okay. The art, the discipline of chiropractic, it's fairly new in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Have you had any challenges in overcoming the ignorance of it, or have people just been receptive? What is?
Well, the ignorance of it is fear,
Okay.
for the most
Might
part.
break my back.
Yes,
Right.
yes. People are afraid that I'm gonna break their necks or that they'll be paralyzed. So that's mostly, and that's understandable.
Right.
And this is why I run a practice that is referral based, because my patients are the living testimony, and it makes it easy for me. So I have to say that I'm thankful for having worked with Dr. Marcus Mans, because it gave the patients exposure to me. And by the time I started my practice, I didn't really have to deal with that. Now, I do talks, so I go into churches and businesses, and pretty much it's community-based. It's something I just do. And I teach people about chiropractic
Are you solicited in these places?
My patients are the ones that solicit me. Yeah. So I've been in events, and I don't really go out recruiting. Looking for these events. They pretty much come to me. So I do ergonomic trainings for corporations as well. So ergonomic is basically how to sit properly, how to bend, how to move. Oh, you're doing excellent, okay. Especially right now.
Right.
So,
you got your place open.
Mm-hmm.
You're running your business. Your staff. How many people are you employing at this stage?
At this moment, I have 10 employees.
Currently, but in the beginning, how many did you start with?
I started off with 3.
With 3, perfect.
Actually, I had 2 partners at the time, myself, and then 1 massage therapist.
Okay. Now, how was it learning the process of managing people on the ground, human resources? How would you describe that?
So that in itself has been a huge challenge.
Okay.
A huge challenge. I ran a practice, like I said, I've run several practices in America, and the mindset is very different out there than it is here in terms of work ethics. And I'll give you an example. In any business, you pick up the phone, the person says, "Good morning, good afternoon, you've reached so-and-so, this is so-and-so, how may I help?" Right. People pick up the phone here in businesses and go, "Hello." So,
and wait for you to.
And just basic business knowledge. And also, because the education system here is pretty much you're just regurgitating information that you've learned, and you have to pretty much say it verbatim or you don't get a good grade. Whereas in America it's a little bit more about critical thinking, at least in my age group. Now I'm in my mid-50s. So coming to Ghana and having to give people very detailed instructions and having to supervise them, micromanage, that was something I wasn't really used to, especially when you have so many staffs and you have to micromanage everyone. It's taxing. It's taxing.
So, in your practice, you have 10 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have other doctors as well?
No.
Okay, so the weight still falls on you.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just add something to what I was saying about the micromanaging. I developed a system of hiring, and this might be something that may be good for your audience, because one of the things that I was mentioning is the being able to logically think on your feet. And I decided not to interview people based on their credentials. Yes, being able to read and write is very important if you work for me, but being able to communicate ideas, especially ideas that are foreign to most people, is very important. And then also being able, like I said, to think on your feet. So my interview process is very different. I don't ask questions as to what were you doing in your past employment and how many years were you there and what were your responsibilities so much. I ask questions like, if you were a superhero, what would you be? If you were stranded on a deserted island and you can only take 3 things with you, what would those 3 things be? And so they're more psychological questions, so that I know where to place the person, whether the person is good with people, what are their interests, what are their ways of thinking. And so I have a whole list of questions that I ask, and every question has a basis of, how can I say, assessing the person's thinking. And then I give them scenarios. I pretend to be a sick patient walking in the door. I'm a sick patient and I'm angry. I'm a sick patient and I'm so humble. I'm a sick patient, I can't speak to you because I'm in so much pain. So I want to see what they do and how they deal with scenarios. So I do a lot of that.
Okay.
Because if I can get them to, if I can see where they are naturally, then I can work them up. Okay. Yeah, I can work from there.
And this is a system that you created on the ground.
Yes, here.
Right.
Mhm.
And this was, you found it necessary so that you could better assess the.
Yes. Because people can tell you what they want
Right.
to tell you, but when it comes down to actioning, either you have it here and here or you don't have it.
Exactly.
You see that? So I'm thankful that I have a really great staff and I don't deal with a lot of the issues that other places may deal with. You know, there's always tweaking here and cleaning up there, but for the most part, my staff are 100.
Well, that has to come from the fact that you have found a process of filtering.
Yeah, you gotta circumvent, if you come to Ghana, you have to circumvent all these issues. Just have to be able to step outside of what we have learned and how we learn to do things because we're in a different environment, dealing with different people and different mindset and a different structure
Right.
in the government itself. So you basically really have to recreate yourself. So when I came to Ghana, having had all the experiences that I've had or experience in business that I had before, I pretty much scratched that off and started anew. So I had to build a new foundation.
That's been my experience as well in terms of recreating yourself. I don't think that can be overstated. The importance of learning to walk again is something that people will not understand until they get here, stumble, fall, and realize.
And I agree with you on that, Ross. The only challenge is that we're going to make the analogy of walking and falling. The problem is that if you fall in Ghana, you can fall deeply because we're talking business. And if you don't have enough money sustaining you during the time that you're on the ground, you can fail and be down. Yes, right. Yes. And I found myself there on a couple of times where I had to go back home and sell some items and sell some property and sell some of my assets so that I can continue moving forward here.
Okay. So we're open, you're doing business. Obviously the reception is good. How long did it take before you actually turned a profit?
I would say by close to going into the fourth year.
The fourth year? Okay. Okay. So until that time you were able to pay your bills, pay your staff. All right. Would you say it took longer than you expected?
Yes.
Or it took longer than you expected?
Because there was a lot of, the building I rented at the time had a lot of structural issues.
Okay.
And when you rent in Ghana, you're responsible for everything. And so that took a lot of my money.
Okay.
And then I had a lot of bad deals. So, yeah. There was a couple of poor business decisions, I would say. Not poor business decisions, but decisions that just didn't turn out right because I wasn't that familiar with the system.
Right. Again, you are new. You are in Ghana at that time, not more than 3, 4 years, 5 years. Talk about some of those endeavors that you took on outside of the business that proved to be challenging and that probably were teachers for you.
Okay, so let me talk about the businesses first.
Okay.
When I was registering the company and when I finally got the building and I had to bring the building up to standards.
Please tell us about that process. So you rented?
I rented a house, yes.
Right.
So when you rent in Ghana, I believe it's still the same because even though the law says that you cannot do this, people are still doing it.
Right.
So you pay 2 years in advance.
Okay.
And in Ghana, you pay in dollars.
Right.
So I had to pay $60,000 up front towards the rent. And
I should interject.
yes.
In East Legon, you pay in dollars.
Yes.
We're in East Legon,
Real estate, yes.
environment. So that is what we are talking about.
Yeah, so I had to pay $60,000 in advance. And unfortunately, I didn't know that the house had so many issues. So a lot of my money went into repairing.
On top of that.
On top of the $60,000, repairing the house, structuring the house so that it allow for proper flow of the office.
Okay.
So I went through 3 different construction companies because the first 2 were just stealing from me.
Okay.
So they would steal the paint and the tiles, and it was just.
So you put tiles down in the
Yeah,
house?
I had to put tiles down. I had to put up doors, fix some windows.
And still.
And I did. Yes, I even had to fix the roof by the 2nd year because it was leaking.
Okay.
So I didn't fix the hole, I just patched it.
Right.
Then we had a pool, and the pool was having issues. I had to buy a new motor for the pool. It was just a lot of expenses.
Okay.
The house took a lot of my money.
Okay.
So I think that had it not been for that, probably by the 2nd, 3rd year.
Right. Right. Now, were the landlords considered?
No, never.
Not at all. So when it came time to renew, there was no consideration for the amount that you invested into the property?
Never.
Wow. And so that
I can say never because that's not just me, that's basically mostly everyone.
Right.
Responsible for, basically, you take on the responsibility of the homeowner when you rent a house or when you rent property and it falls apart.
Okay. Okay. So you had that challenge within the business. What kind of challenges did you have outside?
Purchasing land. I've purchased 4 different pieces of land here in Ghana, and each one of them has been a flop.
Okay. All within the city of Accra or outside of Accra?
One of them was in the Volta region.
Okay.
Yes, and then the other 3 were here in Accra.
Wow.
And so, when you purchase land in Ghana, you can go to the ministry, you go to, what do they call that, Lands Commission, and they'll give you a 2 thumbs up, it's okay. When you get into it, you find out that it's not true. Now, people tell me I just didn't have the right connections, but how do you know which connections?
Right.
You don't know. You don't know.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Right.
You know, you give your money to someone to go do a search, and they give you what you want to hear. Precisely. Because they want their money.
Precisely.
So
it's
a very risky business here.
Is.
So I've lost a lot of money doing that.
Right.
I had known someone who had a piece of land for 11 years and it was taken right under. Because you just never know. It's not secure. So this is why I live in Ghana for 10 years and I don't have a piece of property to call my own. Now people have told me, oh, this land is secure, why don't you try? But I have washed my hands with doing that because
4 times is a lot.
Yeah, 4 times is enough. It's enough. At this point in time, I don't want to invest anymore. I just feel that even if the paperwork does come through when I move into a land, in the back of my head, I will have the worry that maybe years to come, someone will take my land, and I don't want to be bothered by that. I want to be able to sleep peacefully and know that whatever I purchased is mine for good.
Okay, so we are speaking of some challenges, and that's understandable because Ghana is quite challenging. But what has been some of the wins? What would you say has made it worthwhile?
My patience. Okay, the work that I do is very satisfying and fulfilling to me. I see cases here that most people will never see in the United States of America because people know chiropractic out there, they know physical therapy. More people are aware of holistic health, but here that's not the case. So I see cases of people who have been in pain for 15, 16, 20 years and have been broken down, where in America I don't see that being the case. People would have gotten some form of help at some point in time. Yeah. So I see cases here that are quite interesting. I share them with my colleagues back in the States sometimes, and they're like, wow, is this person walking? When they look at the films, and yeah, they are. So it's quite interesting, the things I come across. Yeah.
So the job itself is fulfilling?
The job itself is fulfilling, yes.
Now I heard about the hours that you keep. You just told me that you see 70 patients a day?
I used to see 70 patients a
Okay.
day prior to COVID. After
Okay.
COVID, I changed my whole entire outlook in terms of how I'm working.
So tell us about that.
Okay.
Tell us about the kind of hours that you were keeping before. And
I was working 4 days a week prior to COVID, and I was seeing about 70, sometimes up to 80 patients a day. I was
what
working
time did you start?
6 a.m.
People came through the doors at
Oh,
6
people
a.m.?
coming through the door now at 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
Yes. So I opened at 6 a.m. and I work until 11:30, 12 o'clock. And I take a break from 12 to 3, and I open again at 3 o'clock, and it was from 3 to 6. But sometimes, because the demand was so high, it would be up to 8 o'clock sometimes I was working. And I've worked 4 days a week, including Saturdays. Saturdays I worked half days.
Okay.
And then COVID came through, and I got sick, and I realized the value of life and living for myself.
Right.
And so everything changed.
Okay.
And at that point, what I decided to do was raise my prices and reduce my patient load to 25 patients a day. Sometimes I see a little bit over 30, but I try not to push it more than there.
Okay.
So as the demand for my services increase, sometimes the price does, so that I can see a little, I don't want to see a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, I find that the least patients that I see, I can really focus and give them the best care,
Okay.
and then get them in and out. Just recently, just yesterday, one of my patients said that they like the fact that they come, and not to say I'm not knocking other systems and other doctors, but they'll sign the patient up for like 24 visits or 30-something visits, and the patient's coming twice or 3 times a week. Usually my patients I see once or twice a week, and I see them for minimums. I see them for 6 visits and then reevaluate, because my goal is to get them in and well and out.
Right.
So the most I ever do is 12 visits at the moment,
Okay.
which is the initial package.
Right. Right.
So I take my time, we work on them. So
Okay.
my treatments are a little bit longer,
Okay.
simply because I have to find the source of the problem, and I take my time. I'm very meticulous in getting them well and in and out. So my prices are a little bit higher because of that, because it's about the quality of the care.
Right.
And at the end of the day, they save money because of transportation back and forth, time off from work.
Mhm.
So time is money.
Exactly. Now, we're speaking about money and patients' ability to pay. Some might think that you come to Ghana and set up a business, and you might not have the market, you might not have the capacity, or the average person might not have the ability to pay for your services. You're bringing I wouldn't say high end, it's not a luxury, it's medical care. But how have you dealt with that? How have you, when you changed your prices, did you notice a lot of kickback? Was it?
Yeah. So when I started my practice, I used to get a lot more market women. Yes. But market women have money.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
Trust me, I know.
They have money. But right after that, I noticed that for the most part right now, I have a lot of business people, a lot of international people, a lot of expats for the most part. And most of the people, a lot of the people that come to me now are from corporations.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're either business owners or they work for some international company.
Okay.
But I do see a lot of politicians. I do have a lot of them in my office.
Okay.
And they can always pay.
Of course.
So my patient base has changed. However, I do pro bono.
Okay.
So I do 5 patients pro bono per month.
Wow.
So these are people who
Can't pay.
typically could not pay me.
Yeah.
And then I also go out into the villages and I give care.
Okay.
So every once in a while, I'll drive my car, I'll put my equipment in there, drive somewhere, and wherever I land, I make myself known to the chiefs. and I tell them, I introduce myself, I tell them who I am and what I've come to give as service, and I do that pro bono as well.
Wonderful. And how has that been received?
Oh, wonderful. Everyone wants to give me money.
Wow.
But you know how that goes.
Right.
Never take anything for free in Ghana because nothing is free.
Exactly.
Anywhere. Don't know.
So the business has been successful for the
Very
most part.
much.
You have done well. You have established yourself. You have carved out a niche. You have maintained your staff. You've grown your business. What's the plans for the business in the near future?
So for now, like you said, I'm very thankful. My business is very successful. I see a lot of other people's businesses folding, and even in this economy, my business is still thriving, and I'm very thankful for that. At this moment in time, I feel that my time in Ghana is up. I've given my services here, and I need to step away, and I'm in now high demand in another country in Africa.
Okay.
So
Talk about that.
Yes, I'm in demand in Rwanda. Every day I'm getting phone calls, just like when I was in America, and here they were calling me from Ghana. I visited Rwanda a couple of months ago, and one day I had about 20 people requesting my services. And so I'm going to venture out.
So did you actually practice while you were there?
I did.
Okay.
And maybe I shouldn't be saying this because I'm not licensed in Rwanda at the moment.
Right.
But I was just out on vacation.
Okay.
And when people heard that I was a chiropractor, they were just walking to me. And there were a couple of people that are in Rwanda that are patients of mine.
Right.
And so they were making all the noise about the fact that Dr. Gigi is in Rwanda.
Right.
So by the time I landed in Rwanda, the pressure was there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I am now in the process of relocating myself, but continuing Dimensions of Chiropractic Wellness will still be here in Ghana. I will be coming down hopefully once a month. To treat my patients, those patients that are only allow me to touch them.
Sure.
But I'm in the process of hiring another doctor to come and cover for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Where are you hiring that doctor from? And I'm sorry, 2 questions in one.
Sure.
Have you considered partnering with a doctor?
No.
Okay.
No. I would rather hire someone simply because I know how I like to run this business, and I have a business partner already.
Okay.
And we have managed to build this business from the ground up without any arguments, and it's been peaceful. That I must say that my business partner Obed has been the most peaceful relationship I've had in all of my time here in Ghana, and I would like to keep it that way. I trust him with the business, and so long as I trust one person, that's all I need.
Right.
I don't want to bring someone else into the business that may
interfere
with the peace that we have, and that I don't want anyone stepping on his toes or mine. So it's working perfectly. Don't mess it up. Don't mess with something that's already working well. Exactly. So I would rather hire someone. Right now, there's a couple of doctors that I'm looking at, but one in particular, I have my eyes set up. My eyes. One particular doctor who's already here, but I've yet to convince her. Okay. But you know who you are. I'm gonna send this to you. She's covered for me before, and she's excellent. Okay. And she is by far. I know that I can work with her. My patients love her already. Perfect. She's my number one choice, but I have a couple of other people that also I have in mind. Okay. So, it's just a matter of finding the best fit for this practice and also for my patients.
Okay, so Rwanda now.
Don't talk about my love like that.
Okay. Now, is it like Ghana was maybe 20 years ago? In
No.
that, well, what I mean is,
You see, don't compare.
what I mean is the discipline of chiropractic over there, is it?
Yes, they have a doctor there. Her name is Dr. Noella.
You said one doctor.
One doctor.
So that's like Accra was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's wide open.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that means it's greener pastures.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what else about the places that's got you smiling?
Oh my gosh, I just love that place. Okay, so I absolutely love Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very peaceful country. As a woman traveling alone, the fact that it's very safe, I felt at home in Rwanda. The people were welcoming, and the place is beautiful, first of all.
Okay.
I'm a mountain girl.
Mm-hmm.
I love the mountains.
Sure.
So I love the way the place looks, and I love the structure.
Structure as
The infrastructure, for one,
okay.
and the systems they have in place.
Okay.
I went to a hospital there called Legacy Hospital, and I spent about 2-3 days going in the hospital, taking patients. I'm actually working with Dr. Noella. Dr. Noella, thank you so much. You're such a beautiful soul, allowing me to work on your patients.
Where is she from, by the way?
She's from Rwanda.
She's from Rwanda?
Yeah, she's from Rwanda.
Okay.
So I had the opportunity to work there, and I'm just so in love with the place. There's just so many things I can say about Rwanda, and
Now,
I'll
let me
never
ask you
shut up.
specifics.
Okay.
Because, the challenges that we face here, challenges that you face, had to do with registering, had to do with the back and forth.
Oh, not a problem.
Not a problem.
It's not a problem there. As I mentioned, I was in the hospital, and one of the things that I'm challenged with is the health profession in Ghana.
Okay.
And the way they deal with patients and the systems in the hospital. You see people lying on the floor and they're ill and there's no beds for them. And Rwanda, my experience from Rwanda, the system from the moment you enter, how they register you, how you move from department to department, and the departments are speaking to each other through computer systems. Everything runs so smoothly.
Okay.
When I went to Rwanda to inquire information about licensure, it was very straightforward. When I came to Ghana to find out, you get different information. Even I'll go one day, they give me one price. I go a couple of hours later, they'll give me another price. There's nothing straightforward. As over there, I know what to expect, and I like structure. Right. I would not have been able to reach the heights I've been in my profession or even in my business if I don't have structure and systems. Exactly. And Ghana doesn't have that. Right. And I love the fact that Rwanda has that. Okay. I don't mind working within parameters so long as I know that they're set, I know how to move through them. So,
as a business person, someone like myself, if I wanted to set up shop in Rwanda, aside from the structure that's there, are they receptive to people coming in to do business? Are they receptive to immigrating to their place? Can I get residence? How long does that take?
Okay, so I can tell you when you register a business in Rwanda, you will have your answer within 24 hours.
You will have your answer as in your registration?
Yes,
or?
Everything is like that. So the people that are there, everyone or most people know Mama Amakus, One Africa.
Right.
She registered her business within 24 hours. She had her business registered. And most of the people that I've been speaking to over there is the same way. They're open to businesses. Okay. And so they help facilitate that. Okay. As opposed to creating barriers and hurdles for you to jump through, which is how it is here in Ghana. Okay. So in my time there, going through some of the government offices, speaking to some government workers, going into the hospitals and observing how these systems are, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. And that's one thing I'm looking forward to. I'm done with the headaches of Ghana and trying to figure things out and not knowing who to trust and having to dash someone to get some information or get something done, and then the person running off with my money. Yeah.
So just to get a little bit more, how do they see us as Africans coming in from the diaspora?
I don't know, that I can't answer, but I can tell you this. I've been in Ghana 10 years. And when we talk about local Ghanaians, not diasporans or expats, I can tell you I maybe have been into a diaspora, a true Ghanaian invited into the house 2 times. 2 families.
Okay.
That's it. But in Rwanda, I was getting invited almost every day. I felt as if they really welcomed me.
Okay.
Yes.
But do you think that had anything to do with your association with Mama Amakus? I mean, naturally she has established herself.
No, because I was meeting people on my own while I was out. I wasn't always with Mama. And it's been a different reception from them. Yeah. And one of the things that I love about Rwanda is the women. I must say that is, the women there are very united. I would talk with women. I don't want to say that. God, let me scratch that. I was just gonna say that here in Ghana, the women are very catty because they're in competition with the men.
In competition.
Yes, it's all about the men competition.
Whereas, in competition for the men? Or?
Competition for men in Ghana.
And you don't get that?
No.
So the ratio is balanced? Or
no,
what?
It's not.
So
there's more women to men there. Especially in my age group, a lot of the men are no longer existing. They died during the genocide.
Right.
But the women are running that country.
Okay.
And that is the difference.
Okay.
And so because the women are running that country, they're open to strong, I don't want to say strong, but women who are also coming to give to the country.
Sure.
You understand that?
Okay.
So speaking to one woman in particular, she says that 70% of parliament is women.
Right.
So that explains why the country is so clean. She says, we women, we keep our homes clean.
Yes,
so our country must be clean.
Right.
And then also, this is what I love, the fact that they share amongst each other. There's unity. Okay?
And give me an example of that. I asked you a question in your mention of the ratio, and you didn't hear me.
Okay.
Is there polygamy?
I'm sure there is.
Okay, but that's not a big thing.
No,
okay,
it's
so
not.
that doesn't account for the lack of competition.
No, it doesn't. It's just.
So what unity are you speaking of?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Here in Ghana, most of the time when I get some sort of business proposition, it's mostly from a man. Okay. But over there, when I went, I was given some business proposition by women. And this is the difference. They were saying, we need your services here. So I have this house there and that house there. Come and give services, and you can take my house and I'll rent it to you. And just start off. You can have the house for 1 year rent free. We just need you to come and take care of our people. That is the difference. Because they see the value in what I'm bringing.
Right.
And the value is in the service, whereas the men here in Ghana see the value in terms of the money. Okay. So, as I said, I'm speaking to these women, I was really amazed at the way they think about their country. And I love it because they think about the country like a mother, myself being a mother, how I will care for my home.
Right.
I will make sure that my children are being well taken care of, that they're being well fed, that they're clean, and that they're safe. And I can connect with that. As a woman and as a mother, I can connect with that. So I really love the support that I was getting from women. As opposed to when I'm doing business in Ghana, it's all about money. And really nothing more than money. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a saying that, women, we think with our hearts, and that a country run by women will be chaotic because women are emotional creatures and we think with our hearts. And I say, yeah, we think with here and we think with here. And this is why Rwanda's doing so beautifully, because they think from here and they think from here. Men think from here and they think from here. And so this is why you find women's role in Ghana. I don't fit into what a woman is expected to be in Ghana.
True.
You see?
True.
So
you see yourself blossoming in Rwanda?
I definitely see myself blossoming. In Ghana, I have not been always able to stand as a woman on my feet and move forward. I have to bring in a man to represent me. A man has to speak for me. Whether it's my business partner or someone else I have to hire to speak for me. But in Rwanda, as a woman, I can speak for myself. So I love the fact that I can have autonomy.
Right.
That's important.
That's significant too. I mean, that's definitely a draw.
Yeah.
I can understand the appeal.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually, as a man who appreciates women and their contribution, it seems like something I would want to see in action.
You see, they say that Ghana is a matriarchal society, but when you look at the lawmakers, they're mostly all men.
Of course.
So how is it matriarchal when a woman's voice is not involved?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's just, it might have been, I think our ancestors did run a system that was more matriarchal than it is now.
It is not now.
It is not. There's no existence of that.
I can tell you a lot of stories about how I don't even want to get into those stories because I'll just sit here and cry. About how I've been roadblocked from being able to do certain things because of the fact that I don't have a man by my side.
Right.
A woman in Ghana who's not married is looked down upon.
Okay.
She doesn't have the same prestige in the society unless she has a male representative, be it a father or a husband.
True.
Yeah. Whereas in Rwanda, that's not the case. Yeah. And so for that, that reason of, and I'm not a feminist because I love men and men are very important. You see, I have boys as children, as sons, I should say, not children, but I have sons, and for me, they're up here.
But for me, having a daughter, what you're saying, that environment seems like it would be very conducive to her growth, to her coming of age. So it sounds interesting.
And I also love the way I was treated by the men in Rwanda. That was one thing I really appreciated. I interacted with many people while I was there, and it seemed like every time I spoke to a man, it was more of an interest in my character and who I am, rather than in my physical appearance and whether I had a big buttocks or not.
She said buttocks, by the way.
Buttocks. So is my nosh big enough?
Right.
So here I feel that the men deal with me too superficially.
Right.
They don't really get to look deep down inside, really get to know me for my intangible characters or intangible values.
True.
Yeah. True. So I like the fact that the men are very courteous and very caring and very respectful. I like that. So that I just had a really good experience.
Excellent. And then you met people that are there on the ground, that have been there. I mean, this wasn't just a newlywed experience.
No, I met a couple of people that lived in Ghana, as a matter of fact, and now I have relocated there. And I knew them here and how they were challenged by some of the systems and the lifestyle here in Ghana. And how they're flourishing out there, and I said, well, I want to come and join you. So one of my desires is to start a permaculture, and I've been trying to do that here in Ghana. I was in the process of getting 20 acres towards Cape Coast at one point. And I want to do a permaculture, basically grow organic foods and have a clinic just like this where we offer different services and everything is holistic and everything is natural, everything is self-sustainable. And I truly believe that in Rwanda I can do that because once I purchase land, I don't have to deal with all that.
So you can purchase land?
Oh yes, I can purchase land. And one of the things about Rwanda is that
purchase, not lease.
Well, lease land, because you can't really purchase land in Ghana either. It's a 99-year lease. I don't plan on living for 99 years.
But you want to bequest it to your successors?
Oh yes, and then they can renew it.
Okay.
But one of the things I love about there is that I'll be able to do what I've been planning to do here because it's the acquisition of the land that's been a challenge for me. Whereas over there, I can acquire land without a problem. So, and I know that the land is legitimate because they have systems in place.
Pretty much like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, pretty much like anywhere else other than some places in Africa. Where people are actually killing each other. A couple of years ago, over a piece of land, someone pulled a gun out at me. Yeah. So,
a gun out of you?
Yes, a gun. I was a gun up in a green. So I've gone through situations I haven't dealt with in America and I come to deal with them here. So it's been stressful. Yeah. It's just, and I'm sure he was just trying to intimidate me.
Of course.
I don't think he would have really shot me.
He did.
No. He didn't, so. Yeah.
Wow, okay. So Dimensions is going to be in two states.
I don't know if I will call it Dimensions over
Okay.
there. I've yet to decide because right now what I will be doing because I'm going fresh, I don't have a clinic, but I've already we're in the talks with a couple of wellness clinics over there that don't have chiropractic. And so I would just be going from clinic to clinic as an independent contractor. So working a few days in one clinic and a few days in other clinics, seeing their patients, bringing patients to their facilities as well.
What about the economy there? I mean, what about the capacity to pay? Do you see that because I, for instance, went to Benin not too long ago. It's just the next country over. And when I came back, everybody in Benin, first of all, are on motorbikes versus in Ghana, 90% of the people, well, not 90% of the population, but everybody's in cars. There's a drastic difference in ability to pay. How did you see it in Rwanda?
I see it possible. The purchasing power is not the same as in Ghana. But then Ghana's cost of living is so much higher, so it pretty much balances out. Okay, and then also.
I'm sorry, you just mentioned that you spent $60,000 on a piece of property here in Ghana. I should mention.
It's a rental.
A rental, exactly. That's outright buying in most cases. But again, just for the viewers' benefit, that's in a prime real estate area. Nonetheless, if you were trying to get the same prime area in Rwanda, what do you imagine you would? Not what do you imagine?
Okay, so I will tell you that when I was there, I was out looking for houses because I always work in a house. Wherever I practice is where I live. It makes it simple for me. So I can tell you that houses here in East Legon will run you between $3,500 to $4,500 a month.
Dollars.
In dollars, or from a month for rent. And there I was able to find one house. It was 6 bedrooms, 6 baths, bigger than this one, $4,500.
Wow.
So it's a huge difference.
Huge difference. Okay.
So I would say that I'm comparing what I'm charging here to what I would charge out there because I did charge a little bit, a couple of people. And I would tell you that it would probably be maybe 15 to 20% difference. But then what I'm saving in living there, the cost of living is huge.
Right.
It's huge.
Okay.
And then food is much cheaper there
Okay.
than it is in Ghana.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, I think I will be more successful in Rwanda. Yeah. And then have peace of mind.
Exactly. And this is
and clean living and discipline.
Yeah.
Okay. And being around people that are more open to me for being there.
Right. Well, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds, it's clearly your evolution, it's clearly your path. And seeing what you've done here, I can only imagine what you would do there.
You know, I always say that if you're familiar with the salmon, the fish, the salmon has to swim upstream every year to go mate. That's how it's been for me in Ghana. I'm swimming upstream, and I get there. But by the time I get there, I die out. As opposed to having a system that is not working against you, you're not pushing against, is a system that is carrying you along because they want it. So they're facilitating it because
they want your services.
They want the services, and they want people to come. This is a country that's building its economy.
Right.
You see, this is a way forward country, whereas Ghana is quickly sinking. You know, look at what's happening with the CD on a daily. I have to check.
True.
I run a business, so every day I'm like, what is the CD doing? What is the CD doing?
Right.
Because money is sitting in my bank account in CD, so what I'm losing is losing. So what do I do with it?
Right.
I have to take it out. I have to invest it. I have to convert it into dollars.
Right.
I have to move it. I can't let it sit there.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't want to do that.
How strong is their currency? I mean, if it's not volatile, it doesn't fluctuate.
Well, I really don't know.
Okay.
I can't say I do know about that, but I can tell you that I've asked the people there and they say that it's been stable. But have I checked personally? No.
Okay.
And that's something that I'm just gonna go out on faith.
Okay. I mean,
only because so many other things attract me about the country.
And really, after you accomplish what you've accomplished here in an environment that is not as conducive, certainly in an environment that's more conducive.
Oh yeah.
You'll find your way a lot easier.
I'm sure it will be.
Indeed.
I'm sure it will be. I have nothing but high hopes for Rwanda, and not only the country but also my time there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I know for a fact I'll be even more successful than I am here now. Because I understand how I flourish.
Right.
I know the environments in which I flourish. And I was there for 1 month. I studied the place well enough in terms of the things that I was looking for.
Now, I have a question for you. I almost know the answer, but I'll ask you anyway.
Okay.
If you were to advise yourself 10 years ago, if you were to advise yourself, the younger version of you, 10 years younger, prior to setting up, what would you tell yourself?
That's a good question. Okay, I would advise myself not to open a practice in Ghana.
Okay.
Yeah. I would have advised myself to work in Ghana, but not to open a business like the way I did. However, I don't know if I could have done an independent contracting, be an independent contractor, I should say, in Ghana with another office.
Okay.
Because when you're an independent contractor, you come in, you see your patients, they pay the business, and then you collect your money at the end of the month. And even working for my last employer, or my only one employer, I can tell you it was not a good thing. And I don't want to, let's not even talk about that. But trusting that people will pay you when they say and you have a contract and they say this is what we've agreed for payment. You have to chase people down for contracts that you know. So I don't
And in your industry, that's not, in the States, that was not.
Never been the case. Never been the case. But here in Ghana, I had a huge contract and I took away maybe about 15% of what the contract stated. So, it's a tricky question. It's a very tricky question. Aside from that, the reason why I'm in this upscale neighborhood is because, for the most part, Ghanaians, they see opulence and they think that, yes, this is good service. They have to see opulence so they can understand, oh, this is how they rate whether you're successful or whether you're not successful, whether you're competent or you're not competent based on where you live and what you drive. You see that? And so I had to invest a lot here in order to represent the image that will attract the people. Whereas in Rwanda, I was in someone's house, and in an apartment actually, and people came to me and I was literally working on a coffee table. And they didn't care. So when I moved to Rwanda, I'm not looking to move into a fancy place. I've already established a name for myself. So at this point, if I decide to start treating people in a parking lot, I think I'll be okay. Yeah, because I have people that come in from Cameroon. I have Nigerian. I mean, I've been flown out to Nigeria a couple times. Some of the surrounding countries, Liberia. I have patients now that are coming in from Rwanda. I have patients that come in from Congo, and so Burundi, Mali. So I have patients from all over Africa. A lot of them are CEOs, politicians. So at this point, I've pretty much made a name for myself in not just West Africa, but in Africa in general.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so.
You know, today is August 17th. We're celebrating Marcus Messiah's birthday. And I mention that because you have, even though you've met challenges in Ghana, you have your resolve for the continent is obvious. You haven't said, well, I can do this easily in Missouri, Florida, whatever. Tell me why that is.
Not to say, I won't say that I will never return back to the States because I do have children and grandchildren. I have 4 beautiful grandchildren in America. But for the meantime, I would like to stay on the continent of Africa simply because these are my roots, as you can tell by my melanin. And I would like to bring something to the continent. You see, whatever I can do to help the continent grow, to impart knowledge, to impart health and wellness, I'd like to give back. And then, you know, if the continent of Africa wants to embrace me until the day I die, I stay here. But, so long as they treat me well. Ghana, you didn't treat me well, so I'm leaving.
You hear that?
But thank you for my time here. It wasn't completely horrible, I have to say, even though it may sound like it when I'm speaking to you, but I've had some really good times here. I've met some really wonderful people. I've made some beautiful connections. I've enjoyed the environment, the weather. I've toured around. I've enjoyed nature. And that's one thing that nature at its best here in Ghana. So I'm thankful for being here, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to have served Ghana and the people of Ghana. But I'm ready to spread my wings. I'm ready to spread my wings.
Well, my sister, I think what you're doing is the right thing for you. Clearly is in your path, and I think you've done well so far with what you've been given. Just proud of you.
I'm proud of myself.
Indeed.
I am. I love challenges. Not all challenges. I'm ready for a different challenge now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well,
But
congratulations.
thank you so much. Thank you for calling me and inviting me to this interview.
Thanks
I
for
really
having
enjoy
us.
sitting with you
Thank you.
and sharing ideas.
Indeed.
I enjoyed it.
And I appreciate you being open and sharing with us some of your challenges, because I know it's opening wounds in some cases. So, but it will benefit those who get to hear firsthand some of what they're unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
It might also encourage the evolution of Ghana.
Mhm.
You're not criticizing from the standpoint of condemning. You're giving fair assessment of the way things are.
Yeah, there are challenges here, and I came to Ghana with rose-colored glasses on, and I think that was something that's something that I would advise people not to do.
Right. And we all do that.
Yeah, we just love being on the continent
Exactly.
and being around how beautiful it is. You land here and you see faces of people that are in your family,
Right.
those people you dearly love. And I saw my father, I saw my grandfather, I saw my mother, I saw this, I saw these people. So looking at so many Black faces and being able to fit in, feel like you fit in is a beautiful thing. But Ghana does have its challenges, and if you're aware of the challenges, then you can prepare your mind,
Exactly.
and be ready to face them.
Yes,
Yeah, I think Ghana it wouldn't be so bad for a man coming into Ghana. But as a single woman, I advise my single women, be careful. Every Ghanaian will love to marry you. They tell you they love you, they want to marry you on the first day they meet you.
Right.
And that's another thing. Be wary of the men. Yes.
How have you navigated that course?
Oh, when someone tells me they love me, they want to marry me, when they don't know me, that's a red flag.
Right.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And that's the most common
That's
first line.
that's the most common. Within a day or two, 3 a week or two of meeting someone, they'll tell you they want to marry you. And you know, in America, people don't marry so. And most women or some women want to be married, and they're like, oh wow, somebody wants to marry me. This is wonderful. But it comes with challenges.
It does.
Yes.
That's with everything.
And we'll talk about those challenges another time.
Yeah.
Relationship challenges in Ghana is not easy either. So my single ladies, just be careful with that, okay? Yeah, and watch your purse. Not that anyone will snatch it. I'm saying watch your purse, watch your money. Yeah, because you become a cash cow.
Indeed. Okay, we thank you for your
Thank
input,
you.
for your insight, for just your time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Merci pas.
Okay.